You've heard this one. Breakfast isn't really the most important meal of the day. That was a slogan invented in 1917 by a cereal company to sell cornflakes. It's a very good story. It is also wrong, and the document that proves it has the wrong name printed on it. Here is the story as it is usually told. In Battle Creek, Michigan, a doctor named John Harvey Kellogg ran a sanitarium. He invented the cornflake, and in 1917, the company that carried his name published a line: "Breakfast is the most important meal of the day," which was not a finding, it was advertising. A few years later, a public relations man named Edward Bernays was hired to sell more bacon. He wrote to physicians, asking whether a heavy breakfast might be better than a light one. Enough of them agreed. Newspapers printed the result as though it were a study, and bacon and eggs became the American breakfast. 2 men, 2 decades, 1 invented tradition. You will find that story in national newspapers, in books, in videos with millions of views. I have repeated a version of it myself. It is built almost entirely out of claims that nobody checks, because the story is satisfying enough that checking feels unnecessary. Start with 1917. There is a real document behind that date, and here it is. An article in Good Health from August of that year, titled August Breakfasts. The author is Lenna Cooper, director of the School of Home Economics at Battle Creek. Under a subheading that reads, "The Meal That Starts the Day," she writes, "Yet in many ways the breakfast is the most important meal of the day, because it is the meal that gets the day started." The line is real, the date is right, and the magazine did belong to Kellogg, nobody disputes that. Now read what surrounds it. The paragraph before complains that breakfast gets less attention than any other meal. Eaten in a hurry, alone, bent over the morning paper. The paragraph after says a breakfast should be light, no more than 500 to 700 calories. And the rest of the article is menus. Costed menus, broken out by protein, fat, and carbohydrate, for August of 1917, 4 months after America entered the war. Cooper says why in her own words. Economy should be sought during these times of war. This is not advertising. It is a nutrition column about wartime menu planning. And if you want to measure how hard it is selling cornflakes, you can count. There are 7 specimen menus on this page. Cornflakes appear in one of them. Elsewhere in the same volume, there is a department of eugenics. This is not a magazine to go looking for heroes in. We are here for something narrower, where a sentence actually came from. The debunk only works if the line was invented to sell something. It is a dietitian's opinion under her own name with her reasoning attached, which is a much less interesting story. It is also what the document says. Now go back 36 years. July 1881. A monthly journal published in New York, the Independent Practitioner, a magazine for doctors and dentists. Toward the back, there was a column called The Popular Science Department, where the editor gathered things he had read elsewhere and thought worth passing on. That month, he wanted to reprint a piece about food from a London journal, the Sanitary Record, and he needed 1 sentence to introduce it. This is the sentence he wrote. "The breakfast is probably the most important meal of the day." Read it again, and notice what it is not doing. It is not announcing anything. There is no argument attached to it, no authority cited, no name on it. It is a lead-in. The kind of sentence an editor writes to get from nothing to the thing he actually wants to print. He assumed his readers already agreed. That is 36 years before Lenna Cooper, and it is better evidence than a slogan would have been, because a slogan gets attributed, a slogan gets defended. This one is used the way you'd use a remark about the weather. There is one more thing on this page. The London editor being quoted was Ernest Hart. He ran the Sanitary Record. His name is printed on its title page. Here in 1881, it is printed Harr, which may be why this page has sat where it is for 145 years. Search the archives for Ernest Hart, and it does not come back. The third part of the story is the one people repeat most confidently. So look at how it is actually told. The campaign is real. In the 1920s, the Beechnut Packing Company hired Edward Bernays to sell more bacon. Bernays asked a physician whether a heavier breakfast might be better than a light one, had that question put to several thousand more doctors, and handed the result to newspapers as though it were a finding. Now compare the versions. The year is 1922 in some accounts, 1925 in others, simply the 20s in most. The doctor is Beechnut's company physician in one telling, Bernays' own in-house physician in another, an unaffiliated New York specialist in a third. And the question changes. In some versions, the doctors are asked only whether a heavy breakfast beats a light one, nothing about bacon at all. In others, they endorse bacon and eggs by name. In one, they agree to bacon only in moderation, and the qualifier is gone by the time the story reaches the papers. Two numbers never move. 5,000 letters, 4,500 replies. Then there is the headline. Everyone quotes it. Nobody cites the paper it ran in. And here is the thing almost nobody notices. What Bernays was selling was a heavy breakfast. What Lenna Cooper wrote in 1917 was that breakfast should be light, no more than 500 to 700 calories. Two campaigns, arguing opposite things, offered as the single origin of the same idea. So why does the marketing story win? Because it has a shape. One culprit, one year, one motive. You can hold it in one hand and pass it to somebody with the other. What actually happened has none of that. A dietitian in Michigan wrote a column of costed menus in the 4th month of a war and put a reason next to a claim. An editor in New York, 36 years earlier, needed a sentence to get from nothing to a reprint and reached for one his readers already agreed with. There is no meeting, there is no memo, there is nobody to be angry at. And the debunk does something the real story cannot do. It flatters you. Believing it means you are the sort of person who doesn't fall for things, which is exactly what the original claim offered, pointing the other way. Look at the shape of it again. One company, 1 year, one motive. The debunk is built out of the same parts as the thing it replaced. That is usually the sign that a story has been assembled rather than found. None of this tells you whether breakfast is good for you. A sentence having a scruffy origin is not evidence about nutrition. So, separately, what does the research say? In 2013, the New England Journal of Medicine published a paper sorting common beliefs about obesity into myths, presumptions, and facts. A presumption, in their terms, is a belief held without good evidence either way. Their first one was that regularly eating breakfast protects against obesity. 6 years later, a systematic review in the BMJ pooled the randomized trials. Adding breakfast did not produce weight loss, and the people who ate it took in more energy across the day, not less. The authors were careful to say the trials they found were mostly low quality, and that better ones are needed. Against that, large observational studies keep finding that people who skip breakfast have worse health outcomes. Both can be true at once. They are answering different questions. One asks what happens when you add a meal. The other asks what kind of person misses one. The story I told you at the start is wrong. The story that replaced it is also wrong. That is the ordinary condition of things everybody knows. Not a lie somebody planted, just a shape that became easier to repeat than to check. Debunking a myth with another myth isn't skepticism. It is changing sides. The document is still there. It has been for 145 years, with the wrong name on it.